sharp is he looking with his boxing in particular?
In his boxing in particular, he's looking very, very sharp. We had Dylan Morden and we had Paul Alexander training, and we also had one of our own famous boxers here. We had William Hayden, who was 11 times Irish champion. Right, it could be the next big thing in the boxing game. Like, he was sparring as well, and Conor is in good shape. He's moving and he listens so well. Conor listens so well. You know what I mean? He takes on board everything. You know what I mean? Like the old head, like it's like a computer. He takes on the little things and he comes back and says, we'll do that again and we'll do that again. And he'll practice and practice until it's perfected. Like, he's the perfectionist. It's like the school of excellence that we run here. We run on perfectionism. And maybe that's where he got it from a child, being taught to in between those lines there we are. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it could be, you know. Well, I hope it was anyway.
Sure it was. You know, your basics and where you first started is always instilled in you, no matter how long you go.
Yes, of course, of course.
You said you haven't watched any UFC until you sort of got involved with him. Have you watched much of his opponent, Dustin Poirier?
Yes, yes.
What do you think of his boxing? Because he's considered quite a good boxer in the world of mixed martial arts.
Skill-wise, no. Skill-wise, he's starred. Skill-wise, no. Toughness, yes. I know Conor knocked him early, right? But Conor's too much boxing ability. It's like, Poirier comes straight at you. His arms are wide open. His arms are like this, you know what I mean? Conor will be able to get his shots or his kicks or anything in there, right? Like he did the last time. Now, hopefully he's more powerful now than he was. Conor's more powerful now. And so will the other guy be a little bit more powerful because he's have to put on a bit of weight. But the skill, Conor's skill percentage toward Poirier's percentage is much bigger. Not saying it's going to be an easy fight, but Conor has the skill and the strength now he's stronger now than he was than the last time he fought him.
Would you believe Conor just hits too hard?
Conor hits very, very hard, but precise, with technique. You know, he hits with precision. He doesn't go out of his zone. Like, I've been watching all his fights. They're just bumps right on the jaw, right on the temple, right on the chin. You know, like they're precise shots.
When you think of the mental game, Conor's built this sort of aura around him where even fighting him, I mean, we saw with Donald Cerrone, it almost looked like he was overwhelmed when the fight started. Knowing that Conor's knocked Dustin out early in their fight, do you think that's something that Dustin's going to have to really work hard to mentally overcome? Or is it even too much to overcome? For a fighter, and like Poirier has lost very little since he got beaten by Conor. You know, he Dustin wants his fight too, but that will always be in the back of his head. You know what I mean? And it's up to Conor to keep it in the back of his head and then bring it out on the night to the front of his head when he's clattering him. Then that's what a fighter does. He stares, he gets in on his opponent mentally, right? And when Dustin sees the physicality of Conor, right, the way done the last time, Conor's gone big, you know what I mean? He's gone big and he's cutting weight now, but he's still big. Like, he has that kind of aroma around him, like, and he's keeping that. And I don't think Dustin has that type of razzmatazz. I'm going to ask you one final question. It's a bit of a cliche question, but I think it's always interesting. How do you predict this fight's going to go? Well, I predict, like the last time I said to you, I predict it's going to be a very good fight. It's not going to be, say, the first or second. The last time, like, he took the cowboy over his elbow, his shoulder. You know what I mean? I wasn't predicting that. I knew it was going to be a tough fight, but Conor made it easy. So it'll be up to Conor on the day, right, to make it easy again, right? But it's all on the day. Keep the punters thinking.
Georges St. Pierre versus Khabib makes no sense. In many ways, Georges St. Pierre versus Khabib makes perfect sense, right? In many ways. And that is the fight. That is the fight. I have used a term a couple of times as of late. The biggest fight that the industry could make. And I'm right on that, but the biggest fight the entire industry could make right this second is Israel Adesanya versus John Jones. I would have to take that back if you could get Khabib with George St. Pierre. And at the time that I made the statement of Adesanya versus Jones would be the dream fight, would be the biggest fight, is because we were absent Khabib, which meant we were absent George St. Pierre. Now, I don't think that they're both back to the table just because Daniel Cormier made this statement, but I do think that Daniel Cormier is completely right, which is also in line with something Errol Hawani had speculated to me a couple of weeks ago on Errol, a Bad Guy, which is right before Tony fought Oliveira. If Tony does not beat Oliveira and look great doing it, do it handily, we are never going to see Khabib again. And Errol was not predicting that Khabib would come back to fight Tony if Tony looked good. He was predicting that Khabib will not come back to fight anybody unless it's Tony after Tony beating Oliveira and looking good. I think that Errol was right, but that was in the absence of the idea of the greatest of all time. You want to be the greatest of all time? Real simple. Beat George St. Pierre. They will put you as the greatest of all time. Particularly if you do it at 155 pounds. Right? I mean, if George went up to light heavyweight and took on Blachowicz, different deal. You see the problem. But if you're going into George's wheelhouse and you're going even deeper and more into it and you get the jump, the conversation's over. Nobody's going to take it from you. And I don't know that there's anything that you could ever say that about with anybody. There's always going to be a debate. There's always going to be a back and forth. You could have got LeBron and Jordan to play a game of pig thinking you were going to settle the debate, and then people are going to come out and say, no, the best was Kobe, or they're going to go back to the Wilt Chamberlain days. They're just always going to have a way to do it. There was some way that we could actually do a combine and test Elway against Montana to figure out who the true great quarterback ever was. Somebody would have just said, no, it's Steve Young. I mean, it's one of those things. If you get Khabib and George together and Khabib gets the jump on George, we're all done talking. Is there anything else that we could say that about? I have no evidence that that fight is going on. I have a fact for you that Khabib is the sitting world champion. Regardless of what he said, until that is taken back and accepted, he is the sitting world champion. And I have an absolute fact for you that George St. Pierre has kept his weight within striking distance of title weight of 155 and is training twice a day, every day but Sunday. You do what you want with that information.
So I'm just wondering, has Khabib ever given you something that's like just special or unique or something that just stands out that you could talk about? Or there's probably so many different things over the course of...
No.
No?
The one that did do that was Islam. Islam Makhachev gave me something really cool. He gave me a big-ass knife.
Yeah.
He brought me a knife about 2 years ago. Islam. Khabib, no. I mean, he gave me Eagles perfume.
Yeah, they have perfume?
Eagles perfume and stuff. He has a Eagles cologne. Sorry, Eagles cologne.
Yeah.
He has Khabib has Eagles cologne. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's it. He hasn't done nothing. No. Islam did that. Islam got me some pretty cool stuff.
I don't know how they bring these knives around. Like, they come to Thailand and they got these big knives and they bring them to my office, and I'm like, how the hell did you get in the country with this freaking machete knife?
They have the license on them, on the knives. It has things that they're allowed to. I have that on mine. I didn't read it, but